crazy shots here, banking off the wall. Well, game over, but our game is just getting started. We are going to code handball on the CodeX, and this is part one of a two-part mission sequence where we do handball and then a classic legendary game breakout. Let's get going and code this on the CodeX. Okay, so here it is, the handball mission. So step one is just get a ball moving across the screen. We're just gonna worry about moving it in the X direction, so moving it horizontally across the screen. And in retro handball, the ball is actually a square. We're gonna draw a square and using the fill rectangle function that you're already familiar with in the Codex. So that's what our code over here does. We're gonna draw the ball. Since we're animating it, we've got to erase where it was and then draw the new position, and then just keep updating that. And we've got a little game loop here that loops every 10 milliseconds, updating that ball. So 100th of a second update rate there. All right, let's give it a shot. Okay, so we're gonna load the code and we should see the ball just streak across from left to right. Spectacular. Ball comes streaking across the screen. Amazing. All right, next we're bringing in the second dimension. We're bringing in the y-axis. So making the ball not only move horizontally, but also adding some vertical components. So let's try our two-dimensional code and see what happens. So let's run this and we should see the ball bouncing both in the X and Y direction. Nice, bouncing in 2D. So sweet. Moving on, we will need a paddle to hit the ball, right? So this is the next step. It's called player one. Are you ready? We're going to add a player capability. So we're gonna have a controllable paddle that we can slide back and forth at the bottom of the screen. It's gonna be a blue rectangle, and let's take a look at the code track and see how we're gonna do this. We have to have like dimensions for our paddle, a position where it is on the screen in the y-axis, and we're gonna have to initialize some state to remember where it is at this time, and then use the buttons to control it. We've got a new function to draw the paddle. Hey, it's a rectangle, so we know how to do that already. It's very similar to the ball. Checking our button presses, and then each time through the game loop, we're updating the paddle. If the velocity, if it's moving, we're gonna update the position based on how much time has passed. So very similar to how we updated the ball, that's how the paddle's gonna work. Let's give that a try. Okay, let's load the code and see if we can check out our paddle. Yeah, there it is. Oh, but look, the ball just passes right through it. We got a nicely controllable paddle here, but it's a ghost paddle. Whoa, here comes the paddle. All right, next stop, we're gonna add a scoreboard. We've already, when we did our layout of the screen earlier, we've got a place for score and number of lives. Now we're gonna actually make that real. And then the next step is gonna be focusing on our UX, our user experience. So we're gonna make some messages like play again and the ability to restart your game and stuff like that. And then finally, the final step is to work on like player control. You don't want the paddle just to bounce the ball back like it was a movable wall. You wanna be able to control exactly the direction of the ball. So you want the player to have some like fine-grained control. Depending on where you hit the ball with the paddle, you can basically angle it any direction you want to. So that's what this next one's about. It actually gets into a little bit of maths, but it's good math because it's for a good purpose. So you're gonna really like this. So at the end, we have the final game. Okay, let's load up the final version of handball. So this should give us messages, full control of the paddle, and if I can hit the ball, really great angle control. So the player gets to do bank shots and really get some skill into it. This is awesome. And I'm sure you can think of other things to add to the game, so have fun. Okay, that wraps up the handball project. This is a really great project to learn about game engines. You're basically building your own game engine from scratch. On the Codex, you're learning a ton of Python and it's a ton of fun. So grab a Codex, give it a try, and we'll see you next time. Is it really a game if you can't lose? Hello, Minecraft. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Can you lose in Minecraft?
Not really.
What do you mean?
I mean, you can't really lose, right? It's not like...
You can lose.
Yeah?
Yeah, you can die and lose all your stuff.
But then you just kind of come back and...
Well, that's how like every game works now.
I mean, handball's kind of brutal. Like, you get 3 balls and it's like, game over.
But then you can try again.
That is true.
You're back.
Well, like creative mode Minecraft.
That's true.